Okay, it's 6 o'clock. All right, you ready? We're ready. Okay, welcome. We're so glad you're here tonight. My name's Jackie Sledge, and I'm a master gardener. I've been one since 2013, and
I'm Kathy Turner, and I have been a master gardener since 2002. Not that old, but anyway. That is why. So, our presentation, when you saw it advertised, we kind of talked about amaryllis and poinsettias because those are two of the common things. And so we started writing it, and I said, oh gosh, there are so many other living Christmas gifts that are out there. So we're going to kind of add some stuff to those two things. We will still talk about those, but we are going to talk about a couple of other things. So we're defining these as living Christmas gifts. There's different types: amaryllis, Christmas cactus, wreaths. I thought about that. You know, we look at not probably as much in Texas, but up north you have the branches of the pines and different things that form the wreath, and those are a wonderful gift, and they smell nice and they cycle.
I noticed when I was in one of the stores the other day where they sell Christmas trees, they have a table, and they may be the limbs or the branches that have been cut off or broken, so that you can buy them to make your own wreath. So, you know, there's some things out there. Do it yourself.
A lot of times you see the little trees. Some of those trees can be planted and be successful in growing here. Some of them cannot. There are different types of pines, and so they may not be a pine that is for this area. And then lavender is kind of a new one. I'm not seeing that. It's kind of an interesting tree. And then rosemary is pretty traditional. So some of the other things, which I didn't get a calculator. We talked about the paper whites and I listened to see how you pronounce this, because if I pronounce it like it's spelled, it's not correct. It's a cyclamen. Cyclamen.
But the Texas pronunciation is cyclamen, right? Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the ones that we have to identify. You may have a lot more, so we're going to go alphabetically, because that's how we do it. So we're going to talk about amaryllis, and I brought several different examples for you to look at. They're easy to grow. They're great gifts. I've given them a couple of times, and people will call because they're so excited that they've bloomed. And you just, unless you've ever seen them in bloom, you can't imagine how big the blooms are and how pretty they are. But they are. So they come in different ways. Like this one I bought at Lowe's. I shouldn't say names of stores, should I? Anyway, obviously it's in a hurry because it's just in the box, and it was dark, and it's already sprouted a bulb. This one is a waterless. Has anybody had an experience with this? It has a sweater, isn't it cute? You not water it, and it's already got two bulbs. And then this baby is mine, and it's about 3 years old. It's something I got as a gift, and it just kind of sits dormant throughout the year, and then I'll start watering it, and I noticed I have a second bulb. So if you've ever grown amaryllis, if you plant them, they will actually split and give you more bulbs.
Are they predominantly an indoor plant?
No, we'll talk about that. So if you want to, once you get your amaryllis and after it blooms, what we're going to kind of talk about is what happens after the holiday. So, are you? So, if you want the bulbs to bloom again next year, you let it go dormant. They recommended once it quits blooming, to cut the leaves back and then let it start. I let mine go dormant and started watering it, like I said, in probably October is when I started watering it. And so now it's starting to produce blooms. Your leaves, yours might do the same thing. I would definitely try it and see if it would work. They're pretty hardy. Forget about it. Put it in a storage area and then look for that new leaf growth. Bring it out. Let it have sunlight. Water it on a regular basis. We missed a page, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Kind of trying to figure out where our presentation went. So, is there another page
Go
before
to the
that?
previous page, you just added
Previous
one.
page.
Yeah.
So, anyway, in response to your question, you can plant them after they quit blooming. I'm going to plant a couple of them out in my garden, probably in March, and they will take on a summer bulb bloom. They likely won't bloom this year or next season, next summer. It will probably be the following, but they will take on a summer bloom as opposed to a winter bloom. But it'll still be the same flower. They will multiply, and so they come in all different colors. Obviously there's white. I'm going to assume this one's red. I believe this one is red. I have a pink one at home that I've just started watering. I'm kind of late on that. But they come in stripes. Beautiful, wonderful gifts. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we, several years ago, someone had an amaryllis and took it out to the zoo and planted it in one of the beds there. And you would think that as little care as some of the things get at the zoo, you know, it's hot, it's in the sun, the water, whenever somebody waters it, and it has come back every year. And it's by the diversity stone. And it was about this tall this last year when it was up.
And obviously it gets no fertilizer out there.
No.
Water maybe, but fertilizer no.
With all the natural fertilizer that they have there?
I don't think they share it though.
I don't think it goes in the bed.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want?
I don't care.
Go ahead. You can talk your Christmas cactus.
So, I have to tell y'all, I had a Christmas cactus last year, and I killed it. So I'm going to tell you, it's easy to grow. And Jackie and I laughed because it looks like its botanical name is, if you're familiar around Texas with Schlumberger oilfield, that's
Yeah.
what it looks like, but it's Schlumbergera. It's easy to grow, yes. It comes in a lot of colors. This particular one is white. I hate that it doesn't have any blooms open because it has a hot pink stem, or stamen, I guess is what it would be. It's just stunning. There's reds, there's pinks.
Kind of a fuchsia color
Kind of a
too.
fuchsia color. So they say purple. I have never seen the purple one, but they talk about, there's people that talk about having them for years and years and passing them down from their grandmothers to granddaughters. So, and so it's not a true cactus. It actually comes, it doesn't come from the desert. So unlike normal cactuses, you would not let it soil dry out, which may have been what I did. But you don't want to drown it either. It doesn't like soggy feet. One of the things Jackie's going to talk about maybe, and I'll talk about it now, is when you get these as gifts, a lot of times they'll put them in these pretty little foil wrappers, and so I've been watering it and just letting the wrapper keep the water, and they say don't do that. That causes its feet to get wet. So if you get one, take it out, water it, let it dry. Then you can use it again as just a cover if you want to.
And the same thing with the pot if it
Yeah.
doesn't have
Yeah.
a hole in the bottom.
So, these are the same thing. If you want it to rebloom, you want to put it in a dark place and let it kind of, it needs natural darkness. So at night, as the days get longer, if you'll put it in a place where it gets darkness all night long, don't put it in a room where you may have a night light or something because it confuses it. I will tell you that out at the extension office, one of the things that talked about was having it where it got the light and the coolness from a window. Out at the extension office, the girls had 2 Christmas cactus on the floor right by the door if you ever walked in there. And they are the most beautiful cactus. Now, they never moved them, did they, throughout the year? I don't remember them ever moving. They stayed.
I was thinking they moved them and then they brought them out like
Did
a
they?
couple months ago to let them rebloom.
Yeah, but they had apparently the perfect location. And like I said, it was on the floor right inside the door, so it got the light, but it got the coolness from the glass. So if you want to propagate one, you can just, because the stems come off pretty easy, what we did was the way I killed mine was I just clipped it kind of right in here, and you just sit it in a cup of water, and it will start rooting. I should have brought one as an example. So, and then once it starts rooting, you just plant it. So, in a good soil.
You know, and I think what we did last year is when they were moving theirs around, some of these broke off because they are pretty fragile. And so they shared with all of us. And so we had them in a cup of water, and they really did root. And I was shocked because I didn't think it would happen. And it did.
What is considered good soil?
I would use just a good potting soil. Not one that holds moisture. I don't think I'd get one that holds moisture. A lot of the newer soils, you know, they'll tell you they hold moisture. I don't think I would get one of those. You might get a cacti mix and kind of blend them. Karen, do you have any suggestions?
Exactly. Mix the cacti soil with the loamy type.
Yeah. So that would be an option. I will say that, it talks about that the little buds, if you jostle around too much, the little buds will fall off. They're actually pretty fragile, and they do. I've lost several of them. In fact, there's a couple in the pot from me just moving it from the house to here. So I would find a location for it and let it stay. So. Yes, ma'am.
Something else to take into consideration, if when you get them from the stores, they have been in those baggy type things, so they kept the moisture in there. And a lot of times you will see them devoid of buds, even in the store, or you take them home and all the buds drop off. That's because they get dry. And if you take a bigger saucer and put under it one with a raised center, put some gravel in there and add water, the moisture from that keeps those buds from falling off.
They do like to be watered from the
From the
roots,
bottom.
not from the top. So, thank you, Karen. So. Cover?
Oh, what happened? No! There. Let's see. Where are you?
So,
Please come back. Okay.
it just talks about the preferred temps. You see they're 58 to 65. If your house is 80 degrees, you know, they probably are not going to do really well. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, usually they say if you're comfortable, then it will be comfortable too. I wouldn't be comfortable at 58, but they are. Yeah. And another tip that several of them have said is if you buy a plant and you're taking it to your car, if it's cold outside, it will put it in shock. So it needs to be wrapped. So if the temperature is under 50, and sometimes it is when we're shopping, just make sure that it's wrapped, because otherwise it could damage the plant. Okay? Okay, and there are two pronunciations. I looked it up, because you hear poinsettia, you hear poinsettia, and they say they are both correct. So whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. And this is probably the most popular Christmas plant there is. You know, when you see them, when you go in the stores, they're going to have like lines of these, shelves of them. So they really are very popular. They come in all kinds of colors. You see red and pink and white. And this one is the bicolor. They have mauve and purple. And I never realized it until I started researching it, that some of them are painted. They are a cream colored, and they paint them. You've seen the blue ones? Those are painted. And I don't know how they paint them, but they say that that's the way they get some of the odd colors, is taking a cream colored one and then painting them. Or dyeing them. And then, of course, some of them will be glittered, and they just use the glitter to put on them. And it says it doesn't, but and maybe they like being sparkly, you know? I don't know, but they didn't say that it would harm the plant at all. And, you know, eventually it's going to fall off. So, you know, they don't like drafts. You water them when they feel dry, and they like bright, natural light. You know, a lot of times we have them like on a desk in the office or on the dining room table, and, you know, they can be okay, but they really like the natural light better. Now, during the year, you can keep this plant until next year, and it will rebloom and look like this. But you have to do some care during the year. And it's one of those, think holidays, because you're going to do something on holidays. So on New Year's Day, you apply the water-soluble household fertilizer. And then you're going to do that every 2 or 3 weeks for just a little bit. Keep it in bright, natural light, and then water it when you need to. You do that, and then on St. Patrick's Day, you put the plant outside in the morning, bring it in, and then put it out in the evening so that it gets some sun and some cool temperatures. And then you fertilize it again and then water it when it's dry. Same thing, keep doing that until Memorial Day. And at Memorial Day, you're going to trim off 2 or 3 inches off every branch. And then you repot it in some good potting soil, and you put the plant in direct sunlight. So, then on Independence Day, that's what I say, if you think about it as a holiday, I can do that better than thinking a date. So that's how when I was doing some research on it, they said if you want to remember whatever day Memorial Day is and whatever day these others, you can do it that way. But if you think, hey, I'm celebrating something, then you'll remember to do something with your plant too. You trim 2 or 3 inches off each branch again. Direct sunlight, fertilize weekly, and water as needed. And I like to water. I think it's so much fun. And so I have to kind of back off. They say, and don't use a water meter. They're saying if you use your finger and it's dry 2 inches down, then or 1 inch to 2 inches down on your finger, then that's the time to water.
So how was that?
I didn't stick my finger all the way in. Labor Day, you move the plant to indirect light, and then inside when it's cool at night. Remember, they don't like the cool weather. None of these Christmas plants, well, a couple of these do, but the plants don't like cool weather. Fertilize every 3 weeks and continue to water as needed. On the first day of fall, that's going to be toward the end of September, like the 21st, 22nd, sometime in there, you start giving it some darkness. 14 hours of darkness, 10 hours of light each day. And then keep it in when the temperatures are between 60 and 70 degrees and water is needed and fertilized. And you're going to do this for about 8 to 10 weeks. On Thanksgiving, we're going to be thankful because it's still alive. And keep the plant inside in bright natural light, and then water it when it's dry and fertilize one time. And on Christmas, it's going to be blooming. Is that not amazing? I mean, I have never kept one alive because I just think it should take care of itself. And it doesn't. I'm here to tell you it won't do it itself. So this year I'm going to try the holiday method and see how it works. But anyway, so it should work. They say it will.
So, if you want to, once you get to the point where you're trimming all those limbs, I don't know. This one broke off when I bought it, so I went home and put it in water. And I don't know if you can see, it's already developing some new growth at the top. The directions on the website will tell you to plant them. Just to stick it down, stick the...
I saw a posting on Facebook tonight about putting plants, sticking like that into a banana.
Banana, that's interesting.
Because the banana is very rich in nutrients.
Yeah, so...
And they'll eventually start growing on down through it, and then you can go at some point go out and plant it.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to put this in soil. But I may try the banana, you know, I never know.
To get it started, the banana gives the nutrients to get it
Okay,
started.
well, there you go. So, next Christmas, see, you could make Christmas gifts out of your Christmas gift if you do that. So, it may be cheaper to go buy them. Although, I don't know. I paid quite a bit for that one. So.
Yeah, yes.
What's its a designer color? So it's not just red.
No.
So, but anyway, so yes, I would definitely, as they say, trim it. I would try to grow new babies and see, even if you get 2 or 3 out of 10 cuttings, then hey.
Right, because when you trim it, 3 inches, that's going to give you plenty of stem to go down in the water.
So, yeah, it just said go ahead and just put it straight in the soil. So I just did it in water because I knew I was going to bring it up here. So anyway, but it was interesting because it was pretty droopy by the time I actually got in the water, and I thought, oh, is this going to work? So I clipped it so it had some fresh stem to take up the water, and within a couple of hours it was all perky and ready to go. So.
And then there are trees. I'm just enamored by these. I just think they're so cute. And I have a variety. I have rosemary, and then this is a pine, and this is lavender. And and there are other choices too. There are spruces. There's another variety of pine. And the reason I selected this one, it is an Italian stone pine, and it's one that is rated for our area. So when I decided it's time to go out to grow, this is one that would, I pick things that will grow here. So there are hollies, and some of them are larger though, but you could buy those as Christmas trees and then plant them in your yard, any of a variety of things. And you enjoy it during Christmas, and then keep it in a bright light, because they're used to growing, these plants are used to growing outside. And so if you keep them in bright light, monitor the soil daily to make sure that it's moist enough. Now these have a lot of roots, so they're going to dry out fairly quickly, and you may have to water them a little bit every day. In fact, I have. They kind of.
Kill the lavender, y'all.
Well, maybe not. It's not wet or soggy, so I think it's going to be okay.
Would it be best to put those in the dish, the watering dish underneath?
You could, but you don't want to leave them there because then the roots will get soggy and can rot. What I do, if I have a lot of plants, I take them and put them in my bathtub and water everything, and then they're going to drain, and I'll be able to dry them off and then put them back where they need to be. So you can decorate them if you want to, and then you can plant them outdoors after Christmas. Now, there are a number of lavenders, and some of them grow in our area and a lot of them don't. This just says lavender, but by the blooms on them, this looks like the Spanish lavender that does grow well in our area. And that's why I selected this particular one, is because I think it will grow here well. And I like having herbs. You know, if you want to have lavender or rosemary in your herb garden, this is a great way to get it started. Get your Christmas tree, enjoy it during Christmas, and then you can put it outside. So on the lavender, it wants to be planted in a sunny area. You water it once a week and allow for drainage. It does not like its feet wet. I'm not going to kill it. And then we move the plant outside after Christmas. Again, plant it in full sun, water when it's completely dry, and it will bush out and be more of a round thing. It's not going to look like the Christmas tree forever, but you could keep it snipped if you preferred this shape. I think I want mine big, and I just want mine big and happy. If you put it in a pot, you need to put the pot outside. And then you can move the pot indoors before the first frost, and it will continue growing. Keep it in a cool room because it does not want to be, the dry heat inside is not good for it.
I will tell you, I had lavender, Spanish lavender, close to the curb next to my driveway, so it had radiant heat from the street and the curb, and I ignored it. Once you get it started, the Spanish lavender, you don't pay a lot of attention to it because overwatering and too much love will just kill it. It's not quite the same as the French lavenders and some of the other lavenders you see. Like Jackie said, we're going by the bloom, that's what that is, but the leaves, I'm not real sure. It looks like Spanish lavender. So, but it will get big, I can tell you that, and it gets very woody. The stems get very woody. So it's a cool plant, and the bees would just swarm it when it was in bloom.
Does it propagate out on its own, or does it just a single plant stay there?
The single plant, it was a single plant, but it just got huge. So,
But you can propagate it.
yeah.
You can take cuttings and propagate those.
Okay.
Jackie, could we define after Christmas? We know it's not going to be the day after.
Oh, no, not at all.
For the weather.
Yeah, it depends on the weather. It depends on when you have time, It doesn't give a definite date. I know some of my after Christmases have been more like Valentine's. But it still works. I keep them alive inside and then move them out. Just whenever. Okay, lavender. Pine, and again, this is the Italian, I have never had this Italian stone pine.
Isn't that one of the ones that Gary Beaumont advertised?
I think so. He may have.
It is, I thought it was, yeah, because I looked at it.
Yeah.
We have planted them successfully after Christmas, and they're about 3 feet tall now.
And they can be shaped into the Christmas trees like this one. They don't like indoor light or indoor heat. They dry out very, very quickly. And so you would have to water these more often than some of the others. And then you plant it as soon as possible after Christmas, Karen, because it wants to be in the ground pretty quickly.
I see those a lot outside on porches, decorated, and, you know, for Christmas. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful setting and decoration. So
It is. And let me back up because we're not quite there yet.
it's missing.
Yeah, that's what I said. The rosemary is missing. This is a rosemary, and I'm sure that a lot of you have grown rosemary in your garden. It's very easy to grow. It likes heat. It likes, dry soil, but it makes a really cool little Christmas tree also. And so once it's after Christmas, you can take it outside and plant it. Now, it wants to be pretty dry before you water it again. So when you water it, do the finger test and see how dry it is down in a couple of inches, and then decide, yes, water it now or wait.
Rosemary and lavender were in the same bed next to each other. So if that tells you anything, they both like the same heat and climate. So.
What do you consider the clay soil to be in? Because, at least out where I'm at, the clay soil is harder than hell.
Yes.
And it holds water when you dig a hole and put the water into it for about 24 hours, and then it drains away.
And then you can dig some more. Yes.
Do these thrive well in that sort of a clay soil?
I have grown them, and mine is just like that. I live south of town, and I can dig a little bit and put water in it and then dig some more. It may take me 3 days to dig a hole to plant something like this, but I have grown the rosemary and the lavender. Now, I've been trying to amend my soil and adding like compost to it. I added expanded shale several times because that will break up the clay and make it, better soil.
Allow it to drain.
So,
Provide drainage. I didn't amend mine when I did it. I don't remember it just being terrible soil. I actually dug grass up out of that area. And of course, those of you who have Bermuda knows what happened to that. Once I started watering, the Bermuda came back in full force.
yeah. Now, I didn't amend when I planted. I had amended, for several years before I put the bed in to try and get it in good shape. But you could add the compost and then, of course, mulch after you plant, and then it will break down and help with the soil too. Okay. Okay.
Before we choose, can I ask, do you have any experience with lemon cypress?
I have not, but I looked at one in the store the other day, and I thought, I love the color of it, but I've never grown any. Have you?
I don't have a place for it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I can enjoy it for a few weeks like everybody else, but
Right.
I would like for it to live longer.
Right.
What type of plant is it?
It's one of the, it's not a pine, it's a cypress, but it's in that type of, it's not an herb, it's more of a tree. And it is like, if the one I saw just went straight up, and it was kind of a yellowy green. If you saw it on anything else, you'd go, oh my goodness, that plant is sick. And it's really not. That's its natural color, and it is so pretty.
And it smells lovely. It really is lemon scented.
But it's an interesting plant, and I have not grown it. No.
You know, one of the things where Rachel talked about, she had planted her pines, you know, it might be something that you buy one and plant it for a grandchild, you know, and that way each grandchild each Christmas you have a tree for them, so that as they grow, they can see their tree grow, or something like that. That way, kind of have that memory. Yes, ma'am.
We bought some Arizona cypress to put on the north side of our house. They were about that size. They got so big, we had to cut them down because they were too close to the house. It was a fire hazard.
Oh.
It just made us sick.
Okay. So plant them, give them lots of room.
Well, at that time, we didn't own the place next to it.
Okay, are we ready?
Okay.
So, paper wipes is the,
Okay, there are some other plants that you see around Christmas. They're not as well known as the poinsettia, the trees, the amaryllis, Christmas cactus. And we didn't mention that they look an awful lot alike, but there's a Thanksgiving cactus and an Easter cactus, and they look very much like the Christmas cactus, and that there's something a little different about the leaf.
shape of the leaf. So apparently the Thanksgiving cactus is on its way out, according to what I've heard. And so you'll just be having the Christmas cactus and the Easter cactus. So the leaf doesn't have, the Easter cactus has a smoother edge. Now, how they do that, I don't know. I don't know if it's all the same. They have the same flower, isn't that correct? But it's just a different leaf, so. But,
Okay?
paper wipes.
Yes, paper whites. I have not seen any in bloom anywhere, so I bought my own little kit to do them, and it came with the pot and 4 bulbs, and I have kind of kept it in a darker area, and all 4 of my bulbs are starting to sprout. So after the presentations, I'm going to get them planted. And the really neat thing about the paper white is these look like spring flowers. You know, it makes you kind of happy, and you think, oh gosh, it's spring, but it's really winter. And they will bloom during the holiday season. Now, mine won't have time to bloom because I think it says it takes 6 to 8 weeks for them to actually, 6 weeks before you want them to bloom. And so I will have January paper whites, but it's going to make me happy because I think they're so pretty. It's just a beautiful little flower.
However, they do not, it's recommended that once the season's over that you throw them in the compost pile. They say that typically they do not rejuvenate themselves like most bulbs do. And so trying to hold them over for the next year is mostly a waste of time. So I thought that was interesting because I've never had paper wipes. I
Me
thought,
either.
I'll plant them out in the yard, you know. I'll have them next year, so.
Right. Now, Dawn, did you say that you had paper whites that you brought with you?
Old paper whites, yes.
That they belonged to your grandmother. And so she's managed to keep them alive. We're going to need to know the trick.
Yeah, I haven't seen them yet. I've been here 2 years, but they're planted, so I'm hoping they're just acclimating. Because they came from Maine.
I'm wondering if they're a different bulb, maybe, you know, we've talked about the fact that there were varieties of plants that in years past were successful. My daughter had a house over on the north side, and it had a lilac bush that grew. Now, if you go buy a lilac bush at the store now and plant it and expect it to live, most of the newer varieties do not. So I don't know if they've changed, but I see that pretty frequently where there's some old varieties that are not available any longer. And they live in our climate, but the new ones do not, so.
I have purple irises blooming at my house. I live in South Taylor County.
Do
They've been
you?
blooming since mid-November.
Wow.
Just one little clump.
Do they bloom in the spring too?
Well, he was supposed to, but we had contractors in there and they got the fire beds and dug them up. This is one of them that was dug up and kind of left out by itself. And it's blooming.
You know,
November.
ever since we had that really cold spell, what was that, 2021? 2021, is that right? My plants have done some weird things. I went outside, I have Pam's pink honeysuckle, which honeysuckle should just grow or bloom in the spring, and it's blooming, it's producing blooms. I don't know why.
I had an apricot tree putting on blooms.
Well,
I mean, it's, and the redbud put on new leaves after it shedded its leaves, so who knows?
so, yeah, I mean, you know, we had the serious cold weather, and then this summer we had the extreme heat, and then, you know, finally had some rain and some nicer weather, so I don't know. I guess the plants are as confused as we are, so. Okay, we talked about wreaths. Again, like Jackie said, I didn't realize that you could buy. I see them a lot from on the catalogs where you can order them, and that one has the dried oranges and the cranberries, and also had a huge price tag on it, so it makes a very nice gift. But for me, after the holidays, I would take it and put it out like in the back so the birds could use it. Some of the animals that would use those kind of materials for different things. So that's what I do, and then I would compost it once it's done its thing. So I've never had one. I've never had a library. Has anybody had a library? I mean, they live, they smell, I mean, they bring that smell of Christmas to you for sure, the holidays. So, okay. Whoops. And here's that one. Here's your test. How do you pronounce it? I don't know if you heard me. I Googled how to, did y'all know that you can Google pronunciation? It'll tell you how to pronounce something. And then you can push a little button that says practice, and you can repeat it, and it will tell you.
No.
So, there was one that I did not get. Anyway, this one, it was not this. This one, I would, as we talked about, I would say cyclamen, but it is cyclamen.
Cyclamen.
Cyclamen, that's right. So, I got this one on the clearance rack. I usually see them about this time of year. They're beautiful. They're considered perennials. They're an indoor plant. I wouldn't try to put it outside. There was a coworker of mine that got one of these for a gift, and she put it in a window, and it would have been on a east side, and it was just spectacular. I mean, it grew and just, I've never seen one grow that long. I've gotten them as gifts before, and they die and throw them away. So, no, for those of you who have pets, these are considered poisonous to dogs and cats. So I would make sure that if you have one, you don't have it where that your pets could access them. So allow the pot to get almost completely dry and then water it well. I would water it from the bottom, just like we've talked about before, and let it drain. So absorb the water and then just take it out of that. So. And the last one that we're going to talk about, and I didn't bring one, I've seen them out, and I thought, oh, I need to add that. It's
Depends on who you're going to talk to.
Depends on who you're talking to. A lot of people pronounce it Colancho. It's Calancholi. That is the correct pronunciation. It is a succulent. I don't have one here. You've probably seen them. My grandmother had one that grew and grew and grew and sat in her window.
It says don't put it on the window, though.
I know, but hers was. So it says they need bright and direct light. I don't have anywhere in my house to do that. I have 10 pecan trees in the front yard, so sunlight in my house is pretty rare. But to let it rebloom, you just trick it by exposing it to the lower light levels, just like you would the Christmas cactus and things like that. So do you have, I know Ellen grows them quite a bit and gives them. So I'm guessing by that they're probably pretty easy to propagate.
They are. They're
Just,
very easy.
just break the stem and
Yep.
put them in water or put them in soil.
And they give, now mine are on the south side window, and they happen to grow a little bit leggy because I don't pay attention to them, but they still get the blooms on them. And they'll bloom prolifically all summer long. So.
And they can be pretty old. They can get they can live for a long time as well. Do you repot yours?
I check it about once a year. If it doesn't have a whole big ball of roots, I don't. But the other thing that I do too is when I'm paying attention, knowing that it's going to get leggy, I go in there about once every couple of months and trim it back. Just, it doesn't have to be more than a half an inch or so to stop it from getting really leggy.
Okay. So I chose that picture because it's orange, and those of you who know me know that I really like orange plants. I don't know why, but I do. So and white. White is my other favorite. So I found this quote or this little saying, and just said, "You can't go wrong with a gift from the garden. It's the perfect time to give plants to family and friends, and when the holidays are over, your garden is dormant, then winter bulbs and other blooms are a great way to keep spring alive in our hearts." So those of us who like flowers in the garden, that is exactly what it brings to me. So thanks for spending time with us. We're even early tonight. If you have any questions, there are the information is our email, our Facebook, our website. The extension office you can call. They'll give us a message if you like. And then just the resources. Jackie and I both have this book from Doug Welsh. She brought hers, I did not. It's a great resource. He actually has pages dedicated to reblooming amaryllis, reblooming poinsettias, and Christmas cactus. Those were the three that he actually mentioned. So he was a great resource. Plus, obviously the internet is full of tips and tricks. Doug is from Texas, so he kind of was able to provide some knowledge of our typical weather.
Right.
So.
And he also has a page of do's and don'ts if you have holiday plants. And they're really good because sometimes we don't think about holiday plants getting bugs. But these can get bugs just the same as any other plant that you have. So he does stress that we should be watching these to be sure that if we get anything on them, that we go ahead and treat it and take care of them. And I'm not sure that I've been good about that, unless it gets big enough that it's going to bite somebody. But anyway, I need to do that. And then he talks about how 50 degrees seems to be a magic temperature for a lot of the Christmas plants because they don't like temperatures below 50. And so that either outside or indoors. And then Kathy mentioned about taking the the wrapper off when you water so that the water will drain through, and then put it back on before you put it in your pot. It just says pay attention to them, and just remember that the finger is the best way to take care of these plants, because you can feel if they need something instead of just guessing. So, I did want to mention something about poinsettias, or poinsettias, whichever way you want to say that. And that is, you hear that they're poisonous, and he's saying that they are not poison, but they have a sap. So if you cut them, that sap comes out. If you get it on your skin, it can be an irritation. So, be careful. Wear gloves if you're going to work on them, have to do anything to them. And also clean your tools. And, of course, that's a good tip anytime you're working with plants, clean them before you move to a different plant. So that if something's wrong with one, you're not going to share it with the others that you have. But just wanted to let you know, be sure and do that.
I'm standing here looking at this bulb, and it's one of the things I didn't talk about. When you plant amaryllis, most of the bulb is the outside of it's not a typical bulb. You don't cover your bulb. So like when I plant this one, the only thing that will go in the soil is about right here. It will actually sit most of the bulb on the top of the soil. So if you plant it too deep, it won't survive. So that's when, if you come up and look at this one, you'll see that it's just, and you'll think it's dead. It just gets real papery and mushy feeling, but somehow it rejuvenates itself enough and does that. And then I think I told y'all this one's waterless. I don't know how that's going to work. So it's kind of got a wooden, like they've created something and put it in. So you can do these in wax. You'll find them in wax that you don't water. So they're kind of sealed in that wax, the bulb is. So lots of pretty things you can do with them for sure. So anyway, any other questions?
So the wax ones, will those be able to regrow the next year?
I've not had one. I'm going to guess so. I'm going to guess that you would treat the bulb the same. That's a good question. I'm not seeing them other than to order them. This one is actually local. Rachel found it, and so it'll be an experiment. I'm going to guess the same thing
Is that one covered in wax?
No, it's covered in like a wood barky, almost like they took well, that's actually the bulb. So I don't know. There's some kind of base on it, and then they just put it in the sweater. But it actually refers to it as a no water required amaryllis. It says they naturally store all of the water and energy they need in the base of the plant and therefore do not require water. Simply place your waterless amaryllis in full or partial sun in your home and enjoy. So I'm guessing there's a variety that they've developed.
What's the difference of these amaryllises and the ones that bloom about Easter? They're red.
It may be when they take them out of the light.
It could be.
I got a start from my sister. She had them in her flower bed in Arlington, and mine grew for years, and then the drought and
She took them out of her garden.
out of her flower bed up against her house.
Well, that's what they'll do is they're geared towards at Christmas because that's when you're forcing them to bloom. I mean, it's like any other bulbs that you can force to
It's
bloom.
the same thing.
Yeah, but when you plant them out in
But they usually bloom about Easter.
okay, when you
Once
plant
you
them
get-
out in the ground, then they will, what's the word?
They reset. They reset their clock.
Yeah. And then they'll bloom
Yeah.
in the spring, summer.
Yeah, we had to separate them, for
Yeah.
several years, and then, like I said, the heat and the cold killed them out.
Yeah.
so.
Jackie talked about putting everything out in the outside. I would just make sure that you know what our wind is like. I would make sure that if you put it outside, that you put it in a protected area so it doesn't get wind blown, because otherwise, you know, some of this, the winds we had, what was it, Sunday, Monday? I mean, they would have been whipped to pieces. So I would just make sure when you do put them outside, you put them in a protected.
Yeah. I plant a lot of my things in pots, and then I can bring them in case we have the Good Friday snowstorm. I can bring those in. So a lot of my things I do grow in pots for that reason.
Any other questions? All right.
Okay. Thank you.